In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 MLB games happening on May 3rd, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 MLB games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Tampa Bay Rays versus New York Yankees. The 2025 Major League Baseball season rolls on this Saturday, May 3rd, and one of the biggest games on the schedule takes place. It's a high-profile National League clash that should draw plenty of attention, especially with both teams fighting to gain momentum. Neither starting pitcher has exactly been lights out lately. Little is fresh off a win against the Padres, where he gave up 2 earned runs in 5.1 innings. That's decent, but before that, he went 0-2 over 2 starts. Still, he wasn't terrible. He allowed just 4 earned runs over a total of 12 innings. On the other side, Schmidt is coming off a respectable no decision against the Blue Jays, where he allowed 1 earned run over 5 innings. But if you look back a little further, he went 0-1 with 8 earned runs in 9.2 combined innings in the 2 starts before that. Tampa Bay struggled to get anything going on offense Friday, managing just a single hit compared to New York's 6. Even so, the Rays only had 1 really bad inning on defense, which kept the game within reach. This matchup feels like it'll come down to the wire by the time it's all said and done. As our first pick for this matchup, the Tampa Bay Rays money line is our full game side pick. The Yankees managed to get another solid performance from Fried on Friday night, leading them to a win, and they now stand at 11-5 on their home turf this season. New York didn't have a great showing in their previous series against Baltimore, so yesterday's victory felt especially important. As for Tampa Bay, they've been pretty average on the road this year with a 5-5 record, and they've also dropped 4 consecutive games overall. Both starting pitchers have struggled at times this season, but Schmidt did put together a solid performance in his most recent outing against Toronto. Little, on the other hand, has been pitching better in his last 3 starts, so it's possible we'll see a game with fewer runs than expected. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Houston Astros versus Chicago White Sox. 2 American League teams are back at it for Game 2 of a 3-game set, squaring off on the south side of Chicago. The Houston Astros are rolling into town Saturday afternoon to face the Chicago White Sox, both squads looking for a win after Friday's contest. It's mid-series, and Houston's aiming to take control against a White Sox club still searching for consistency in 2025. Houston's young arm Brown has been dominant this year and is quickly becoming a key figure in their starting rotation. He's already taken care of the White Sox 3 times in the past, twice right here in Chicago. On the flip side, Martin's record may not reflect his overall performance. 1-3 isn't flattering, but his 4.62 Fahrenheit IP earned run average suggests he's walking a fine line. This White Sox team doesn't look much different from last year's version, and the bats haven't exactly taken off so far this season. With Brown towing the rubber, don't expect Chicago to keep stringing together 9-hit outings like they've done lately. The Astros offense has had some off nights, but their pitching, especially Brown, has kept them in games. Chicago is swinging earlier and more often, but that strategy also means more missed chances and strikeouts with men on base. You got to tip your cap to the White Sox. 2 wins in a row is something, and their offense finally showed signs of life. Martin's pitched well overall, sitting at a 3.24 earned run average with a 1.32 WHIP, and maybe there's a case for a 3rd straight win. But if you've been watching the White Sox the last few seasons, you know this isn't a team that inspires confidence. They've racked up 245 losses since the start of 2023, and a couple victories doesn't erase that pattern. Houston is clearly the more complete team. Brown has surrendered just 20 hits and 3 earned runs over his last 31 innings. In April, he posted a jaw-dropping 0.87 earned run average. The guy's been nearly untouchable, and if you've followed this team long enough, you know the Astros usually bounce back strong after losing one at home. Chicago hasn't shown enough to believe they'll make noise against a pitcher dealing like this. As our first pick for this matchup, the Houston Astros to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Coming into Friday night's action, Houston had gone under the total in 16 of their 30 games with 2 pushes. They're averaging 3.9 runs per game overall, which drops to 3.25 when they're on the road. Their average combined score in games sits at 7.37 runs, but that dips slightly to 7.08 runs per game when they're playing at Dakin Park. Meanwhile, Chicago has hit the under in 14 of their first 31 games, with 3 pushes. The White Sox are putting up just 3.52 runs a game, which puts them near the bottom of the league. At home, they're even worse, dead last in the majors with 3.43 runs per contest. Their average total score at Guaranteed Rate Field hovers around 7.8 runs per game. With Houston sending their ace to the mound, and given how Brown has been throwing lately, runs could be hard to come by. Martin's been steady himself and has done a solid job keeping the ball in the park over his last few outings. Houston's lineup is still hit or miss, and Chicago struggles to get on base or avoid strikeouts. It's not shaping up to be a fireworks show. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. New York Mets versus St. Louis Cardinals. The New York Mets, currently sitting at the top of the National League East with a 21-11 record, are set to play the second game in a 3-game road series at Busch Stadium this Saturday against the St. Louis Cardinals, who sit at 14-18 and are 4th in the National League Central. On Thursday, the Mets dropped a 4-2 decision to the Arizona Diamondbacks, though Juan Soto did manage to crank out his first 2 homers at Citi Field since joining New York. Despite the loss, the Mets still hold a solid 3.5-game lead in their division. Meanwhile, the Cardinals are coming off a rough 9-1 defeat at the hands of the Cincinnati Reds and have now dropped 3 of their last 5 contests. They trail the division lead in the National League Central by 5 games. New York has been on a roll against St. Louis lately, winning 8 straight matchups, which includes a clean 3-game sweep in St. Louis last season. The Mets have been swinging the bats well recently, posting a .300 batting average and a .473 slugging percentage over their last 3 games at State Farm Stadium. On the mound, New York has a clear edge, boasting the best team earned run average in the league at 2.53. St. Louis, on the other hand, finds itself in the bottom half of the league when it comes to pitching. The Cardinals' offense hasn't been doing them any favors either. They've managed to score 4 runs or fewer in 4 of their last 5 games played at Petco Park, and in their most recent matchup in Cincinnati, they only scratched across 1 run. Mets pitcher Tyler Megill turned in 6 strong innings and got the win in his last outing against the Cardinals. Right now, the Mets just look like the better ball club, and Megill has been lights out lately. In April alone, he went 26 innings while giving up just 20 hits and 5 earned runs. He's part of a Mets rotation that's been sharp from the jump this season. The Cardinals have been struggling to close out games, and starter Eric Fed has allowed 26 hits and 16 earned runs in his last 26.2 innings. St. Louis has lost the last 5 games in which Fed has taken the mound. Historically, the Mets have handled Fed, with their current hitters putting up a .330 batting average and 4 homers in 112 total at-bats against him. Honestly, you could make a strong case that the betting line should be higher. As our first pick for this matchup, the New York Mets money line is our full game side pick. 6 of New York's last 9 games have ended with the total score staying under the projected line. The under has also hit in 8 of the last 12 games St. Louis has played against teams from the National League East. As we touched on earlier, the Mets own a 2.68 team earned run average, which ranks 3rd in the majors, and they're handing the ball to Megill, who's carrying a sharp 1.74 earned run average. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Cleveland Guardians versus Toronto Blue Jays. 2 teams from the American League are squaring off in the second game of a 3-game series on Saturday afternoon, with both sides hoping to grab a win on Canadian soil. The Cleveland Guardians are on the road to face the Toronto Blue Jays, and it's a matchup where both clubs are looking to stay in a rhythm. Cleveland came into the series riding a 3-game win streak, while Toronto had picked up back-to-back victories of their own. Still, both starting pitchers had tough outings in their last appearances, and each is aiming to get back on track after a rocky start to the season. Offensively, neither team has been particularly explosive or reliable, and their pitching hasn't been much steadier. Williams had a strong showing in his only career start against Toronto, and there's a good chance he settles in again this time. When it comes to the long ball, there's a clear difference between these 2 lineups. Hitting home runs is one of the quickest ways to put pressure on the scoreboard, and right now the Guardians have hit 34 of them. putting them in 14th place. Meanwhile, the Blue Jays are all the way down at 29th, managing just 21 home runs through their first 31 games. There's also a noticeable gap when it comes to hitting with runners in scoring position. Cleveland has a .703 team OPS in those situations, ranking 19th, while Toronto is struggling more, posting just a .629 OPS, which lands them 26th. Adding to that, Cleveland has won the last 3 meetings against the Blue Jays. Given the way things are lining up and with Gausman looking shaky recently, Cleveland has the edge in this one. As our first pick for this matchup, the Cleveland Guardians money line is our full game side pick. Looking at the month of April, neither starting pitcher has had the kind of success they probably hoped for. Kevin Gausman holds a 1-3 record with a 4.82 earned run average across 28 innings and 5 starts, and while his WHIP is a respectable 1.11, he's still been hittable. Gavin Williams, on the other hand, is 2-2 with a 5.48 earned run average over 23 innings and 5 starts, with a higher 1.7 WHIP that points to more frequent traffic on the bases. The bullpens haven't stood out much either. Cleveland's relievers are sitting at 15th with a 3.8 earned run average, and Toronto is right behind them at 16th with a 3.82 mark. In their last 4 meetings, the total has gone over in 2 games, under in 1, and pushed in another. This game feels like one where the runs might come a bit more freely. Gausman's go to pitch, his splitter, doesn't seem to be fooling hitters the way it used to. Teams are adjusting and finding ways to deal with it. On the other side, Williams hasn't been the most dependable option in the Guardians' rotation so far, and Toronto's lineup has been showing signs of life lately. Once both teams get into their bullpens, there's a good chance the scoring keeps up and we pass the projected total. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Colorado Rockies versus San Francisco Giants. The MLB season rolls on this Saturday with a National League West matchup between the Colorado Rockies, who are sitting at a miserable 6-26, and the San Francisco Giants. The Giants have been solid at home lately, grabbing wins in 7 of their last 9 games in their own park. The Rockies, on the other hand, have been terrible on the road, dropping 9 of their last 10 away from Coors Field. San Francisco gets the nod in this one because they've been hitting right-handed pitchers well, and Rockies starter Ryan Feltner just hasn't had it, especially away from home. He's been tagged for 8 runs in 3 road starts, and he's had a rough time against the Giants specifically, giving up 9 runs in his last 3 outings against them. Colorado's bullpen hasn't helped matters either. They've been inconsistent and unreliable, which makes it even tougher for them to hold down a Giants lineup that's swinging it well right now. Offensively, Colorado isn't likely to get much going either. They've been weak against righties, and they'll be facing Jordan Hicks, who's 3-1 in 10 games against the Rockies. Hicks has only allowed 3 runs in his last 2 starts versus them, and with San Francisco boasting the second-best bullpen in the majors, it's going to be hard for Colorado to string together much offense in this one. Let's not sugarcoat it. This Rockies team is a disaster. At 6-26 straight up, they've got the worst record in baseball, and they're also near the bottom when it comes to covering the run line, sitting at 12-20. I'm not going to overthink this. I'm taking the Giants to win by at least 2 runs at home. As our first pick for this matchup, the San Francisco Giants to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. One big reason the Giants should feel good about this game is their bullpen. Even if Jordan Hicks doesn't have his best stuff, and let's be honest, a 6.12 earned run average doesn't inspire confidence, they've got a strong relief crew to back him up. San Francisco's bullpen has a 2.47 earned run average and a 1.02 WHIP, both of which are top 2 in the league. They're also holding opponents to one of the lowest batting averages in the league. So even if Hicks runs into trouble, the bullpen should be able to clean it up without much damage. We've got 2 pretty rough starters going in this one, so don't be surprised if there's a lot of scoring. Hicks hasn't been sharp this season, posting a 6.12 earned run average that ballooned to 7.52 in his 5 April starts. Colorado's lineup actually has some success against him in limited action. They're hitting .258, .303, and .581 over 31 at-bats, so they could scratch across a few runs here. Colorado will counter with Bradley Blalock, who's somehow been even worse. He's got a 10.29 earned run average and a bloated 2 WHIP in just 7 innings pitched this year. He'll be facing a Giants offense that's middle of the pack overall, but still puts up a decent 4.52 runs per game. The weather might play a role here too, with wind blowing out to center field at over 16 miles per hour at first pitch. That should help the ball fly, and I'm expecting some fireworks. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.